This is an AMD Rx580. More specifically, this is the MSI Armor OC. It's a 4GB card. You could also get it in 8GB. And it was released April 18th of 2017. Had an MSRP of $230. Really, the RX580, it was just a rebadged RX480. So with the 580, you get around 5 to 10% better performance. So in games, that could correlate to about a 10 FPS boost at best. So not a huge jump. It's just a rebadged card. So the only major change that happened is that they upgraded the voltage controller. So at idle, it would use less power, and at full load, it could reach higher clock speeds. And that's how they got the little boost in performance. So the card is based on a 14 nanometer Polaris 20 core, which has 36 compute units, 144 texture units, 2,304 stream processors, and 5.7 billion transistors, which really isn't anything special for modern video cards. The core runs at 1366 boost clock, and the power draw is 185 watts. You can see here that we have an 8-pin PCI connector to feed the card. So generally, to run this card, it's recommended that you have a 500 watt PSU, although you could probably get away with a 400 or 450, but a quality 500 watt isn't that expensive. So the memory in this card runs at 1750 megahertz. It has a 256-bit bus width, which can send data at 224 gigabytes per second. The card itself is 10 inches long, 4 inches tall, and takes up 2 slots. And this is an actual 2-slot card. A lot of modern cards are 2-slot, but the actual cooler takes up 3 slots. But this is an actual 2-slot. We see that we get 2 90mm fans. And the weight of this card is around 650 grams. So pretty light. If you look at the cooler, it is not that beefy. This was one of the cheapest RX580s ever released. If you look at the cooler, the actual aluminum is probably about a ½ inch thick and spreads across most of the PCB, but definitely not all of it. And we have 4 nice beefy heat pipes. It does a good job of keeping it cool. There were definitely better cards though. I picked up this card actually for just $100 a couple of months ago, which is a great deal. It performs better than a 1050 Ti or 570, which new would be easily 150 or more. This card, along with the GTX 970 by NVIDIA, I would argue are the best cards on the used market right now. I've gotten both this card and a 970 for just $100, which is a great steal. Not that I personally used either of them, but the testing I did with them, they truly perform admirably. We can see on the back here, no backplate, just a bare PCB. See the power phases over here, and back of the 8-pin there. We're actually going to take this card apart today. I've had this card partly taken apart before, never fully. You should always remove the fan power cable before you take it apart. Now this cooler should be pretty easy to take apart. There are just 4 screws holding it together. There is an additional screw holding on a cooler for the power delivery, but we're not going to worry about that today. That's one benefit you get with some of these cheaper cards, is that the coolers are very basic. So when you need or want to take them apart, they do just come apart really easily, unless I'm misinformed. I don't see any other screws on here. Sometimes they hide them under stickers, but those don't really exist. It might just be adhered together. Oh, there we go. Yeah. There you go. It's interesting. That's a very, I think that's the thickest heat pad, thermal pad I've ever seen. Looks more like a couple sticks of bubble gum stuck there, but there we go. There's the bare die. Now I'm gonna clean it off a little bit, just with the tissue. Not all that worried about getting it sparkly clean, because I'm gonna reapply thermal paste at a later time. And there you go. It's all nice and shiny. We can see here that it has 8 memory chips, and that's actually curious. I know a lot of the early 580s were actually, the 8 gigabytes and the 4 gigabytes were about the same, and they actually had all the RAM modules. We can see that every spot is filled with a RAM chip. So I do wonder if this, if you could change the BIOS and actually run it as an 8 gig card. It's very interesting. Let's see. Take this heat pad off. Your power delivery. And this other little cooler. This card could use a little bit of cleaning. We see up in some of these corners, there's a little bit of dust. It always amazes me slightly looking at a bare PCB, especially for more powerful cards, just how small and thin it is. Let's take another look at this cooler. Again, having it off only further justifies me thinking of how small it is, which is understandable given how cheap it is. And it does have, actually, I guess just 2 heat pipes. I originally thought 4, but it's just 2. They extend all throughout the card. That will be the end of my video. I hope you all enjoyed watching this little discussion and quick teardown of the RX580. Thank you for watching.